Here's another one. How much memory, trick question, how much memory is occupied? Does this allocate? 0. Okay. Likewise here, here's a nested structure, and we can nest ad nauseum, as long as it makes sense, to nest a pre-declared data type. So once we've got this data type declared, there's no reason why we can't say, oh, this variable is of this other type, which, oh, by the way, is also a structure. We can get dots floating all around the place when we start working with it. Okay, and little arrows if it's dynamically allocated. So this admit date is a variable name that is referencing or declared to be, defined to be, a date type, which is a structure. Here's another one. Here's 2 instances of date in this other structure. And student is another instance of a data type structure. Notice that we have student. So the question becomes, for a homework structure, how many dates are there? How many date structures are there actually in one homework structure? There's one here. There's one there. And is there one in student? Yeah. So we have actually 3. The one in student is one level down yet. Okay. So this line right here says, carve out in memory for me space for one student structure. Has the 3 date pieces, has name, first name, last name, and so on. Actually instantiate, carve out the memory, but we're not assigning any values to it, we're not initializing it, but the memory is carved out. Here, create an array, and each cell in that array, memory is actually allocated for all 20 cells, and each cell is student long. Each cell has student as its value, its data type. Now the values that are in each of those cells, who knows? We don't know. Here's a new dynamically allocated structure. Dynamically allocated structure. Space for student is carved out of the heap. The address of that is returned and stored, in this case, to student pointer. Now if we want to actually initialize a variable, here's a straight A student, right? So we have student data type, the variable is straight A, and we initialize the first cell, first member, second member, third member. Notice that here we have a nesting, don't we? We're nesting the date, one of the dates in here. Okay? And we signify that. This is just like we would do a 2-dimensional array, right? Same syntax. The difference between a structure and an array is that the structure doesn't require homogeneous data types within it. It can have differing data types. We can have arrays of this structure type, so we can have arrays of a lot of different things. Each cell contains a lot of different things. So now when we access the data members, here student is assumed to be statically allocated. We had a variable declaration, student. Memory's carved out, fixed, static. So we can assign to to the ID member of the student structure. Here we're copying the name Drew into the F name member of the student structure, still statically allocated. Here we have an array, CST 126 sub 0, the first structure in the array. So this gets evaluated this much. This much gets evaluated first. Go fetch me that structure, right? That's the piece I'm looking at. I want, as I read it, I want the ID member of, that's the dot here, of the 0th structure in CST 126 array. Is that clear? The elaboration here can get lengthy, but it's pretty straightforward once you understand what's going on. Copy Patty into the first name, member of the 0th structure within CST 126 array. The world changes in terms of notation when we do dynamic. Allocate a new student. What we want to do is to refer to a member of that structure. Well, the structure, we don't actually have it by name. We only have an anonymous structure. It's pointed out by student pointer. That's how we did it up here. So student pointer points to a new student, and I want the ID member of that. So I'm going to say the ID member of the structure pointed at by student pointer. Questions? No? Okay. We're out of time, so tomorrow, Wednesday I guess, we'll continue along this vein. Please make a good serious attempt before Wednesday at the lab for this week, so you come with questions about structures and so forth.